So let me tell you a little bit about Give an Hour. Give an Hour is a national nonprofit organization that I founded about 5 years ago now. We are a national network of mental health professionals who provide free mental health services to our returning troops, their families, and their communities. We have over 5,000 mental health professionals in all 50 states and in the territories, and we have now given out approximately 27,000 hours in mental health care. The reason I founded Give an Hour, I am the daughter of a World War II veteran. He served in the Pacific, my father did, and he passed away many years ago, long before I founded Give an Hour, but he taught me about honor and integrity and service to our country. But what he never did, he never ever talked about his experience in battle, his experience in combat, although my brothers and I saw the effects of his combat experience. The question is, what resources are out there for young kids struggling with the deployment of one of their parents? That's an excellent question, Leanna. Thank you for asking it. There are a number of great organizations that have many, many resources for children and have a number of programs for children. One of the wonderful organizations is the National Military Family Association, and that organization provides a great deal of live support, meaning they do camps for kids in the summer. They also have resources online. Many of the organizations, the veterans organizations in our country, have resources online for children, for spouses. There's also another great organization, 0 to 3, that has an entire program for young children under the age of 3, and they educate physicians and teachers and other professionals who come into contact with young children. Also DoD, Department of Defense, and the VA, those are also good resources to check within your specific community. And there are organizations like Give an Hour, who we're always happy to field a specific request or a specific question to help. There's also a wonderful series now through Sesame Street, and again, you can access that through the 0 to 3 site. They have products that are wonderful that were done by the wonderful characters on Sesame Street. So there's a number of great resources out there, and children are affected. My background is I'm a child psychologist, and one of the reasons why I founded Give an Hour was my concern for the children in these families who serve our country. So I'm especially interested to learn about the children and their experience, and one of the things that we find is that teachers who, we all know how important teachers are in the lives of children, unless it's a school that is connected to, close to a military base, teachers often don't understand the military child very well. It's not because they don't care to, but it's not their background, and they don't have the training. And so sometimes what I'll hear is, how a child is acting out, the term that teachers often use to refer to, a kid struggling. They're maybe, if it's a little boy, he seems to be more aggressive, on the playground, or he's a little disruptive in class. I use a boy as a example here because our schools in general are more friendly toward girls. I mean, girls generally, these are generalizations, but that's okay. They do hold. Girls tend to enjoy tasks that are, sort of sitting and listening and talking and sharing, and they're verbal, and boys tend to like action. That's just the way that we are different, and it's fine. But anyway, so let's say that the boy in the classroom is not doing so well behaviorally, and it's amazing how quickly teachers might identify that child as having some, he's a troublemaker, or he's aggressive, and may never have even found out, maybe never have even known that that child's father has now been deployed for the 3rd time. So some basic things like educating our teachers to make sure that they ask that information at the start of the year. Who in the classroom is from a military family would be just a huge start. Recently I had the pleasure of partnering with a wonderful organization, the Veterans Project, and we just created a video, and we were so honored and pleased that Bruce Springsteen gave us permission to use music from his wonderful song, The Land of Hope and Dreams. And there are many, many entertainers, Bruce Springsteen being one of them, but there are many, many more who have stepped up to help, to spread the word, to educate. And so we at Give an Hour, and I know that Jeff Norman, who's the executive director for the Veterans Project, are very proud of this video that we just created and will be posted everywhere we can post it soon, because it raises awareness in a way that makes use of a very important resource in our society, which is our celebrities. It's an excellent question, difficult question. I recently wrote a blog for the Huffington Post Living section on for Mother's Day about honoring and celebrating our military mothers, women who are deployed themselves and leave their children behind, and women who are the spouses and who are left at home to take care of their children while their husbands are deployed. And it's as a mother, it is certainly an issue that is very painful to think about, meaning how hard it is for a mother to leave her children. So if I think about how is it different, how are the ways that maternal deployment affects children differently, let me first talk about how it affects them in a similar way. And parents are, in love with their children. Their children are in love with them. In most families, kids go through phases where they're very attached to mommy. That may shift whether they're then, daddy's girl or daddy's little boy, and so it's important not to paint too broad, too much of a broad brush strokes this issue, so that each situation needs to be understood individually, because in some families, children may have a harder time if the father leaves than if their mother were to leave. It depends on the dynamics in that family, the family relationships, the primary caregiver, who that person is. So those are all my disclaimers. Get education for yourself and get support for yourself. And if you're working with someone, whether it's a mental health professional, whether it's maybe someone in your church or synagogue, you can develop a plan. You can try to come up with a strategy to talk with your loved one about what you see. No one wants to hear, there's something wrong with you, or, you're not yourself anymore, especially if they don't see it yet. One of our wonderful spokeswomen for Give an Hour, Jennifer Crane, who is a veteran of Afghanistan war, said that when she came home, everyone else was sort of going on living, and it was her. She couldn't fit back into life, and so she struggled and really hit bottom and was living out of her car, and it was excruciating, lost relationships with her family. And so she finally came to recognize that the change was within herself, but it took a long time. So again, I want to thank the Huffington Post Living section. This is a really critical time in our country. So many folks have already served, that unfortunately these conflicts are going to go on for the foreseeable future. If not Afghanistan and Iraq, it looks like there are a lot of hot spots in our world, and as long as that's the case, we're going to have men, women, and families who are serving, who are bearing the brunt of this, and that those of us in the civilian community, our job is really to learn how we can better support, learn how we can better respond to the needs in our military community. So thank you again to Cause and Effect for inviting me to to participate in this webinar, and I look forward to our continued good work together.